Valet parking at the Ganja House. Pot used to be difficult, like an A in science class or a social studies report about dark alleys and tenements. It was strangely coded phone calls to ne'er-do-well friends, those flaky observers of life who spent their time behind the bleachers playing guitar out of tune, off beat to the school bell. Marijuana was danger, a night in the hoosegow for a bag of rip-off oregano. Boo was for cleverly hiding in your well-bunkered bedroom, wet towels on the threshold, and overspray of cologne, Glade, or talcum powder. Now, with a script, a trip to the strip mall will cool your Jones, a freebie walk past Officer Way, edible, odorless, drive-through valet parking credit cards. Oh man, just driving by gives me the munchies. This poem starts with a little epigraph from a Salman Rushdie novel called Fury. It's called The Epoch of Analog. And I wrote this some years ago when I was trying to decide something like Palm Pilot or iPhone or something like that. Epoch of Analog. In these days, when the age of pulse was giving way to the age of tone, when the epoch of analog, which was to say the richness of language or analogy, was giving way to the digital era, the final victory of the numerate over the literate. Oh, howl, young lovers, orgasm discreetly muffled under pillows of love me tender sex, vacuum tube, high fidelity sex, backseat Chevy sex. The epoch of analog ends with a cipher buried in signal to noise, high frequency hiss, crackles and pops on vinyl strands, diamond needles scratch. Now, by glow of liquid crystal displays, hot swappable sex comes in bit rates, YouTube screenings every 20 minutes, sampled lovers' shrieks compressed to megabytes, lost in the ether and replaced by a simple download. Long before I knew there was a Jerry Garcia, I was playing cool music up in San Francisco. I was turned on to music really by my older brother, or my oldest brother, who was your typical preppy college button-down collars, listen to the Kingston Trio and Peter, Paul, and Mary, and I just loved that sound. You know, they used real basses and guitar strumming, 12-string. So this is the song called 500 Miles after, I called it a song, didn't I? This is a poem called 500 Miles after Peter, Paul, and Mary. The Sandman stirs through the shadowed clutter of my bedroom on a school night in November 1963 when the double bass notes of Dick Kniss major into my reverie. My brother Lou, just home from the college library, sits in the tungsten wash of our family den. 11 p.m. feels like dawn. Subsonic notes resonate from the Magnavox. It's a profound, nevertheless mellow walk through silhouette branches of guitar strides and harmony. The night becomes ethereal when Mary Travers' voice arcs my bedroom like Tinkerbell. I think probably most of this room knows who Peter, Paul, and Mary is, and those who don't, check it out. And talk about music and child and adolescence. This is called the Atlantic Square was the local place where I walked to on summer days and hung out by the Newberries and the thrifty drugstore, the ice cream. There was a deli, there was a bookstore on the way, and there was this Singer sewing machine store. Actually sold records because they also sold record players, so that was where I went to buy 45s. And I was a weird kid. A summer day at the Atlantic Square. Humid wilting palm tree weather, sticky popsicle spill on sidewalk sparkle, Saturday afternoon pilgrimage to the local top 40 record stand. Single earplug transistor radio broadcasts Bob the Hullabalooer into my right ear. In the left ear, a ballpark cheers. Drysdale toes rubber on an RCA color TV in the Singer appliance store display. Beatles sing Lady Madonna through bases loaded, no RBI innings. Sunburned fans get antsy on the tube. Radio plays Felix Chevrolet commercials. The Big D throws another whiff, the side retires while the birds turn, turn, turn. David Crosby harmonizing Pete Seeger lyrics over McGuinn's 12-string jangle, pennant-winning talent for sure. Summer boys pouring off winter's dugout, a sweet harmony betrays the blues, making Stevie wonder the Jackie Robinson of AM radio. Post-game channel switching, American bandstand, Dick Clark standing on the mound, music livens both ears, salted nuts and ERA in trade for RPMs, music versus baseball, a double header for sure. This odd, music-driven adolescent joining that legion of teenage boys who invented air guitar, pretending to choke a rosewood guitar neck like a Louisville slugger. My generation, I can get into the whole thing on that too. That was the day. And staying a little in adolescence here is a song called "A Guitar Covers His Desire," and this is a little more of that history. The interesting thing is I wasn't really a Grateful Dead fan when I was a teenager. I was more into Neil Young and Crosby, Stills and Nash and Jackson Browne. Well, that was actually college. But anyway, "A Guitar Covers His Desire." Her to-the-ass generation-defining hair swayed with hips and faded blue jeans as she sauntered the hallways of Mid-City High School. Joey's head turned to his locker. He was too much the nerd to speak, too scared to touch the rock and roll woman whose dark eyes stared directly at him. Though he yearned to feel up the woven hemp of her hippie blouse, Joey imagined how he would lightly brush her velvet miniskirt with his guitar-fingering hand. But he refrained from any attempt along her lithe brown skin. Joey couldn't do it on his own. He excused fear with green glass jug wine and anti-social stares, grasping at joints to loosen the tightly wound nylon brass of youth. Spring was cruel. She ran freely through the grass, kissing the older boys behind bushes, reappearing flushed and sweaty. Joey played at being Neil Young, aloof, off-camera gaze. A guitar covered his desire. He unwittingly sang blessings for her free spirit, while cursing his own unintended virtue. Downwind from a man sleeping in his own puddle. Lipstick cigarette butts, high roller cigars, spent condoms, and green shards from a broken jug of apple wine. Monday morning discards, wait with me for the traffic light to change. On a bus bench lies this pile of threads and bones. The smell of stale urine makes me fear that the post-dawn chill will raise vagrants to beat me, rob me of charge cards, ring, wristwatch, and $32 cash. But the vagrant sleeps alone. He snores. Low winds waft his stents with detached leaves that scatter over the sidewalk. I arrest my fright. The signal changes. I look at my ring and watch, hold my wallet close. Perhaps these possessions are all that stand between me and the vagrant's bench. And I'm working on a new book hoping to get published someday. It's called On Summer Solstice Road, and this will be the name poem. On Summer Solstice Road, we beg the air for moisture, drink bottled rations promised to the next mile, and try to soothe the pain of scorched limbs, blistered feet. Sand-blasted panoramas, degrading paths, and broken posts discourage our journey. Sage wilts, cactus stoops, power lines corrode as humor fails. We wish our journey would end with the next turn. The wheeze grows heavy, our vision strains, knees seize like rusting gates, sheer sand dunes snicker at the chaos. Sweat may as well be blood, streaks on rocks and bones, artifacts crushed to gravel by the heavy-footed compression of many generations. We look for a better horizon, but nothing can protect us from the unforgiving greed of a prolonged summering sun. We rupture and collapse from futile attempts to rebuild this dried-out oasis. Not even the stalwart yucca stands a chance against quixotic winds that blow from what might be giants. This is called War Without My Heroes. Wake up, Diane Arbus. The world needs your photographs. Amputee soldiers, beheaded corpse, anguished mothers. Margaret Bork White, we need your pictures too. GIs pass out candy bars against a backdrop of torn burqas and shattered mosques. No one can see it now, Edward R. Murrow. No one sees truth. Our daily news is a show of pixels, discrete elements scattered into our living rooms to paint reaction. Sylvia Plath, please take another breath. Write our world's metaphor as we suffocate from gases of global depression. William Butler Yeats, the time has come. Your falcon singes his wings in flaming atmosphere. Prophets, poets, truth-tellers of our time, unheard and vexed. Even your belief in love is stifled, John Lennon. All you need. Let's see, how am I doing here? Okay, let's do just a couple more here. This one is from traveling up to the Central Coast here in Bubs, where I like to hang out when I get away from LA. And this particular place I like, and this poem is called "O Montana de Oro." Your orange slate juts, saluting the Pacific. A young woman, stiff as a naval lieutenant, faces tealed waves, breathing seaweed-scented foam. No photograph could explain that day's state of mind. Children dragging firewood, hikers resting against your weedy bluff. A figurine cleanses herself with salt water, balances bare feet on broken rocks with ballerina poise, until setting sun competes with your amber cliffs. Your beach empties of tourists, rests. Even pelicans seek shelter. Removing her green knit sweater, exposing bone-white breasts to briny cold, stretching her lanky body to the sea like a dare, the uncredited female commits adultery with shells and sand crabs on the stained shore of your golden California. Seeking redemption for St. Thomas More. I'm Catholic. He put a long neck on the executioner's block and lost his poetic nature to the stubborn belief in his own divinity. Sir Thomas More left his family without hesitation, claiming ecclesiastical excuse. But Lady Alice aimed her rage at Henry VIII, the selfish purveyor of madness, For she would not condemn her fanatical philosopher husband and his Byzantine stand against the defender of faith. Lord Chancellor Moore, the monomaniacal Catholic, left his close-knit family and accepted the chopping block in vain attempt to seek his own salvation. Daughter Meg wept at the brutality of his sainted head pulled on the Tower Bridge before she maddened and bribed the royal henchman for the right to perch her father's skull on the family mantle. Just what I'm learning to do when criticized. It's called in case of criticism. Let all the air out of your lungs. Let a Spanish guitar arpeggio from your head. Let it counterbeat the voice that assails you. Scribble on paper. Make eye contact to show you care. Nod as if to agree. Rock on your feet. Pretend you're on a yacht. Make a mental grocery list. Think about Scarlett Johansson. Envision butterflies surrounding any person who passes judgment.
Excellent. That should be the one that becomes a video. Thank you for this.
We'll get an animator. All right, this is my last poem. I really enjoy coming up to Ventura and hanging out with you guys and reading poetry, and I'm very honored that I was asked to be a feature here. And I want to tell you this won't be the last time I'll be up here. And you know, the whole area is a lot of fun, so, you know, hey. Anyway, this poem is my poem about poetry, and it's the answer to the piece you read earlier, you know, why poetry. So here I am. I think I wrote it at the same time, but I feel like it has more meaning 8 years later. It's called Lexicon, My Dream of Words. At war in the cerebral forest, idioms explode into shrapnel, words clash with branches. Small-legged animals dodge punctuation and break ranks as the ground opens to swallow the ashes of my wounded rhyme. I stand naked at the window, watch letters build into well-dressed phrases and attack like arrows. I have not the muscle to counter this assault. I have become an old man who curls over rough-hewn tables, scratches rambling verse onto yellow tablets, each stroke chafing wits like abrasions on my mind. In the cold, my speech freezes, my blue skin jackets the forest trees. I wrinkle and harden with the bark.
Nice.